Yeah, but by oh, we're live.
Hey, we're live, and this is gonna be like a chill stream. Just gonna be like really chill. And Constantine and reactionary cam shit talk about America, or saying that Constantine say that America rules and reactionary
No,
just in tears because they lost like a very vital colony.
Yes, the Americans totally did it all by themselves with no help from the French. No, not at all.
well, no. I've made this clear. Meds are the true Americans. Okay, the people in the Mediterranean are not true Americans, which makes me a true American.
Oh, really? I see. Is that how it works now? Is that,
Yeah,
the flexibility of American identity? Is that Mediterranean?
Christopher Columbus was an Italian. I'm an Italian, so America's mine.
No,
That's how it works.
no. Africa starts at Rome, my friend.
Okay. We was. I'm just gonna say that we was.
We was. No, well, happy Independence Day to all you Americans. Have a nice. I'm sure you've had a nice day, eating hot dogs and drinking excessive amounts of Budweiser and whatever else is American.
I scarfed on a Big Mac like 20 minutes ago. That's how American I am.
The hilarious thing about McDonald's in the United States is like how considerably larger they are. In the United Kingdom, we've had some restrictions on the size to which we can McDonald's can sell some of their burgers. I mean, I've never been to America personally, but so looking at some of the photos that some of my friends have sent me, or some of the things I've seen online, some of your American cheeseburgers are huge. From quite mainstream American, corporations like McDonald's, which are here in the UK. So yeah, I think that's crazy as well.
Wait, couldn't you just order another Big Mac if you wanted one? So
I mean, you could, but there's something quite, how could you say it? Something quite, masculine, I guess, sitting there with a huge, burger in your hand.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like
definitely, yes. But no, I'm not. Yeah, that's one of the things we've missed out, I'm afraid, us Brits.
I mean, you become the human incarnation of Hank Hill when you have that. It's just like you feel like an American,
as well as when you shoot up a school.
hey!
Oh
now,
God!
Per capita, and
Per
I know
capita,
the dreaded 2 words per capita.
Per capita, I know.
Cough Belgium, cough Finland.
Cough British knife crime.
Oh yes, of course.
Cough acid attacks, cough bombings. Pretty much it. Cough, well, we've got a license for that knife, mate. We've got a license for that. That's what it's like in the UK, almost.
And
you've got a license for that opinion, mate. You've got a license for that opinion.
Hey, and your made-up accents, you made them up after the war because you felt bad because you lost. So you wanted a superiority complex. So you made up an accent.
Which one?
Actually,
pretty much every war.
What's the British Independence Day?
We don't have an Independence Day because we've always been an independent nation.
What's your national holiday then?
Well, we have like multiple national holidays.
I mean, but like, what's your premier? Like, Russia has like June 12th. That's their Constitution Day. I mean, the Italians, they have June 2nd. That's Republic Day. Like, what's your equivalent of something like that?
Oh, I don't know. Whenever there's a royal marriage, I guess. I don't know exactly because we don't have holidays for St. George's Day and St. David's Day and St. Andrew's Day and things like that. We don't actually get that much time off in the UK, which is quite weird. Obviously Easter, Christmas, usual things, but we don't have like an official sort of like patriotism day, if you will, that Americans do. Because to be honest with you, we're such a cuckolded nation at this point that there's nothing really to celebrate. So,
press F for Britain.
Press F for Anglo-Stan, or whatever you want to call it, Brit-Bongistan.
No Anglos allowed.
Well, the hilarious thing is that Jeremy Corbyn, who's the leader of the Socialist Labour Party here in the UK, actually proposed that there should be a national holiday on All Four Saints Day. So that's the saint for Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England. And that we should also have I saw this today, we should have a national holiday when England wins the World Cup. That's if they do win, after all. But I don't give a shit about football, so.
Man. Oh, was you on True?
I love Jeremy Corbyn now.
WTF, I love Jeremy Corbyn now. That was my response.
Was you on True Little Tom Chandler before, or
Yeah, I was on Trudeau Tom's channel because obviously British time and Australian time are very different. So when he was live streaming, it was only about 7 o'clock here in the UK, which is quite early still. 7 o'clock in the evening. That being said, and he was doing this sort of mediocre live stream, which he said himself on the live stream. He said this was utter garbage content, and I thought that, well, it's just two of them. I'll go in and just talk to them. So me and Trudeau Tom had quite a nice conversation for an hour about just random assorted topics. And I felt like an idiot compared to him because he's such a big brain nibber.
Oh man. Also, why you follow me on Twitter?
Why do I follow you on Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know why do I follow you on Twitter because you're friends with Yaks, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm friends with Yaks. He follows me. Why don't you follow me?
Because I follow like 500 people already. So fuck off.
I follow 757.
Wow, he's got a lot of friends. How many followers do you have though?
887.
Yeah, but does anyone like anything that you do?
It's been blowing up today.
Oh wow, someone's popular. It's not a bunch of Anglos telling you to go fuck yourself, is it?
It's actually not because I am I'm a proud member of Med Twitter and I'm an honorary Slav too. So
oh wow, peak of Berimut.
Fortunately enough, I'm like just like mostly one thing, and the way I look is just like mostly one thing. So I kind of luck out on that, and I'm not too much mixed, too miscegenated.
Well, that's all right then. Yeah. Oh, Frederick just stopped. Yeah, I don't know how long have I been following Frederick now? I'm not sure now. I don't know. I follow a bunch of like old school libertarian guys, I guess, because I still have a sort of romanticism for you, libertarian lot. I miss you guys. Take me back, please. Oh wow, we got one viewer. That's excellent. Delightful.
So should we just ask the JQ now?
No, let's not talk about that because I don't want Bastiat to get copyright strikes. Well, not copyright strikes, thought crime strikes.
Well, all I have to say is Israel is our greatest ally, and I'm an avowed Zionist, and I love the Jewish people. They are the chosen people.
See, what the hilarious thing is that I remember, on a serious note, like I remember when the Syria bombings happened last, and I was pretty angry with them, as most people were, who like Trump for his sort of nationalistic rhetoric. One of the hilarious things is like one of these like neocon boomer Republican types went on Tucker Carlson's show, and when Tucker Carlson asked him, "So why should we be bombing Syria?" and the first thing that came out of this boomer's mouth was like,
"Well, if you care about Israel,
if you care about Israel."
That was also a sitting United States congressman, not just some.
I know. I said Republican boomer congressman, whatever. You know.
Yeah, he was like a congressman from like Louisiana or something.
Wow.
But yeah. Well, if you care about Israel, that was his.
Well, if you care about Israel. But in the UK, it wasn't framed like that way. In the UK, it was like poor Assad's bombing babies. Because in the UK, like the sort of like, what will we think of the children response works almost every time.
Yeah, and then Macron just wanted to, get a big dick about it, so he figured I'm going to bomb some targets and feel good about myself.
Macron's on this sort of like, I am the god emperor of the universe.
I am Napoleon IV. That's basically.
To be honest with you, Macron has been really, really, really good. To be honest with you, he's been good in a lot of ways. Like he introduces national service back. He tells people off for like calling him casual names. And he's like, "I am the president of France, and you will address me by my proper title." And then he's, I don't know. I always made this joke that the Germans shouldn't be in charge of the EU. The French should, because the French are our allies and we can control the French quite easily, because you can't control the Germans, because no one can control the Germans. And to be honest with you, Macron's desire to have a more sort of reformed EU is actually quite a good idea, because then it allows the Germans to be kicked off the top pedestal. So, I'm really pro-Macron, fucking hell. And I thought he was this. I thought he was this really sort of pro-global. Well, he is still a sort of pro-globalist neoliberal type, but he's quite good in a variety of ways. And also, he's pissing off French trade unions and students, which is not a bad thing in my estimation.
So, and to bring it around, he's also pissing off the Italians with the whole migration issue, which has been quite the funny fight.
Yeah. Well, aren't the Italians actually doing something about their immigration problems now?
Yeah, they are with Salvini and everything.
Yeah.
They actually are cracking down the NGOs and like
Yeah.
they are like preparing to deport people. So base Dagos.
Base day goes. Well, the hilarious thing is that we in the UK, obviously, we take the piss out of France, but France is probably a less cocked country than we are because at least they had like the balls to ban the burqa and hijab and things like that. And they actually have a president, and they actually have a president who's actually got a spine.
But he's also married to a woman like who's like old enough.
He's like his high school art teacher, but I don't really care.
France is actually more dangerous in the political arena than people think they are. So I don't trust France that much. I rather just trust Germany.
No, never trust the Germans.
Germany should be broken up again, just like break it up back and pre-unification.
I'm somewhat of a German idealist, so forgive me.
Boo, Hegel, get out. But the hilarious thing about the
Hegel is gay, by the way.
Hegel is gay.
Hegel.
Hegel. The hilarious thing about French politics is that it's far more radical than pretty much any other country's politics. I mean, in France, you can have openly sort of like communist parties running, like in mainstream elections and getting like coverage in the mainstream media, and you can get like out and out sort of. I mean, Le Pen obviously wasn't a fascist by any means of the situation, but she was a kind of sort of like a really hardcore implicit ethno-nationalist, like in the most implicit way. But then you can have people like her running, and she gets into the second starting round, and then you can have people like Macron who can sort of dethrone the original political establishment of like the Conservative and the sort of their equivalent of the Conservative and Labour parties, by creating his own new party and sort of developing a cult of personality around him. Well, French politics is extremely exciting.
France has had the big gay since the revolution, though.
Extrapolate, please. Enlighten me.
France,
no pun intended.
it just became gay after the revolution. They had something going for them before that. It was like, oh, this fine. They're okay, but then they ruined Europe.
Then they ruined Europe.
That's history.
Hilariously, Eric Ritter von Kuhn-Ledin said something about this, about France. He said, for an average person, all problems date back to World War II. For the more informed historian, to World War I, and for the genuine historian, to the French Revolution. I thought it was quite a
I mean, I would go further and say the Great Schism of 1054.
I would go further and say the Norman invasion of Britain in 1066.
You're not very good at math, are you?
Shut up. Faggot. Mediterranean.
Oigfeld. That's very now I'm Jewish, apparently, okay?
Jesus Christ, why does every conversation with right-wingers have to descend into I'm a Jew? No, he's a Jew. No. It's like how leftists devise... It's like how leftists have purity spirals and just end up calling each other like fascists.
Yeah, well, see, the only reason I'm really on the Jew thing is because I can do the voice well and people think it's funny. So it just kind of sticks. Oigfeld.
Bastiat's channel is so gonna get fucking taken down.
Oh, you should have heard my 300 subscriber stream. I deleted that immediately afterwards because so I spammed out the link just randomly just on several websites, and we got some guy in there talking about school shootings. We got some guy in there basically quoting Moon Man lyrics. There was a lot of Jew talk. Basically everything to get banned happened on that stream, so I deleted it immediately afterwards.
Mm. Well, I should talk about something more serious. Go on, Baz, you've not necessarily, considering it's your sodding stream, you've not said much. Ew, Bastiat. Is he not there? Does he often do this?
I don't know. This is my first stream where I'm on with him. So actually, this is I don't know. This is send help chat. I don't have chat open, but I still think they should send help.
Yeah, there's literally 2 people watching.
Well, good on those 2 people.
The 3 people now, bloody hell,
They know quality entertainment when they see it.
They know quality entertainment. Oh my god.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
We were wondering where you were gone, my friend. God, this guy's a full-on sort of libertarian type, isn't he? Jesus. Full on. Hello, welcome back.
Sorry, I'm just doing a bunch of things right now.
It's Sorry, man. Yeah, just have a look. You've described yourself as a Jeffersonian classical liberal, a proprietarian, and a paleo-libertarian, and a Hayekian. Do you want to try and explain to me how all those things are interlinked? I can see how classical liberal and libertarian and Hayekian linking together, but how do you link that with proprietarianism, which is sort of Kurt Doolittle thing?
Because proprietarianism is just like a purely descriptive philosophy about so.
Oh, he's a robot.
He's gone. His internet's BTFO'd him.
Press
on Independence Day. On Independence Day of all things. God damn it. Let an American have his free speech, god damn it.
Yeah, I'm not a big advocate of free speech.
What a libertarian.
We have free speeches.
Free speech.
What?
Free speech. What do you mean you're not a big advocate of free speech? What's that supposed to mean? So you want regulations on freedom of speech, or what? I don't know. Would you rather free speech be decentralized to the private level so that people can determine what they want said in their own private areas?
Let's see. I want free speech to still exist, but I'm not big on it.
That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, like, I'm just saying that free speech.
That's like saying I don't like Islam, but I mind Islam being in the UK. It's like
no, like
I don't like guns, but fuck gun control. That's
yeah. I don't like guns, but I like guns, but fuck the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, let me explain first. Like, the thing about free speech is it's just like a double-edged sword. It's a tool of polarization. It can be used as a tool of polarization.
I agree. I mean, it's definitely a tool. It's a political tool in a sense. But the difference is like who wields free speech the best. And the thing is that, in my opinion, the right is wielding free speech the best at the moment, but the left has all the institutional power so that they can curb it whenever they like. So, in a sense, the right has the moral high ground, but the left has the sort of institutional high ground, if you will. And there's the clash there. Yeah. Well, yes, in a sense, because you have to be in the institutions. I'm not saying they have to be 100% right wing, because no institution is 100% left wing unless you're sort of, unless you're a fucking communist. But that's the distinction I make, is that the right has the moral high ground on free speech, while the left has the institutional high ground. And to some extent, the institutional high ground is winning. Well, not even winning, because the moral high ground is coming across, via people like, people cringe about this, but people like Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, all the sort of alt-right types, and even to some extent people like Richard Spencer on the alt-right, who are using free speech to get their message across and counter institutions via the First Amendment.
And that's why the internet's been so great.
In many ways, we're winning the battle almost, the battle of ideas, if you will. Which I sort of cringe at that term too. But
huge win in the battle of ideas.
Huge win in the battle of ideas, guys. But yeah, the I'm in favor of free speech, but I'm not thing is a bit,
I agree.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But no, I mean, but that's honestly something I've been thinking about recently. Is like people in the alternative right, which I would sort of mildly consider myself part of. I'm not like totally in line with everything they think. There's a lot of them advocate for socialism for white people, which I don't quite like.
Yeah, I know how you feel, because I'm basically half Ron Paul, half Pat Buchanan. That's my political ideology.
So you're like paleo-lib, paleo-con, like synthesis.
Basically,
it's like I hate the government and love free markets, but Christ, do I hate like cultural Marxism and like neocons.
That's basically me. It's like I love the domestic free market. I can see the utility of tariffs, but I'm not necessarily 100% for them.
Yeah.
And fuck these commies and fuck the
neocons. America. Fuck yeah.
The true radical centrist hates neocons and commies because they're essentially the same thing.
What is the difference between a neoconservative and a communist?
Well, it depends how you define it. It depends what type of communism you're talking about, because there's a clear difference between Stalinism and neoconservatism. But there's a link between neoconservatism and Trotskyism, because
you see, it's all about tactics. The neoconservative and the Trotskyists, they fundamentally believe in different things, but their ideas about international revolution, spreading their ideas worldwide, yes, exactly. And globalism are the same.
The idea is the ideas are the same, but the foundation, the ideas aren't the same, but the foundation is the same, isn't it? So like, we want permanent revolution, but for communism, while the neocons are like, we want democracy, freedom, and neoliberalism.
Yeah. By no
as an-
means am I a communist, but I wouldn't mind them so much if they didn't have this, thing about international revolution. Workers, the world unite.
Yeah, but that's an inherent part of communism. I'm sorry, but that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Communism is an inherently internationalist system, and thus this is why some communists argue that Stalinism and Marxist-Leninism and things like that aren't real communism because they don't embrace an internationalistic view of communism, while Trotskyism does. And hilariously, Trotskyism is the most popular brand of communism in the United Kingdom, which is quite interesting. While in the US, I think it's Marxist-Leninism. I'm not quite sure.
Wait,
and-
why Trotskyism is like popular in the UK?
No, I don't really know. It's because I don't know,
can
because it's the
explain
most
this.
most like radical form of communism, I guess. And like in our universities, there's like a tendency to go towards the most radical, extreme left wing position you can, and Trotskyism is often the most extreme you can go.
What's the most extreme in right wing politics in England?
Oh Jesus! Well, I don't know anything to the right of.
Neoliberalism.
Well, Constantine can talk first. Sorry, mate, you're gone.
Neoliberalism.
Neoliberalism. No, I don't know, because in the modern political discourse, I mean, even the far left doesn't really. I mean, the far left is just a bunch of like snobby middle class university students with Socialist Worker Party banners, saying Tories out, refugees in. Like they're a joke. Antifa isn't even as big in the UK as it was once upon a time. Like, Antifa is pretty big in the US. It used to be quite big in the UK, but they seem to have, not disappeared per se, but they're not as much of a threat anymore as they were in the United States, sorry. I mean, when I watched the inauguration of President Trump, I mean, the violence that was going on was insane. It was crazy. I mean,
owning the fascists by burning a limo owned by a Muslim immigrant.
Yes, owning the fascists by throwing by punching trash cans. Yes, that's such a rebellious thing. There's still the meme going around, isn't it? Like good night left side, and there's this Antifa guy like sitting on top of like a garbage can, just punching it. That sort of epitomizes Antifa. And also, I'm sure all you guys saw the Battle of Portland yesterday. Decisive Patriot victory.
I have quite the personal story with Antifa, though. Basically, I just out of curiosity, Richard Spencer was speaking at MSU, that debacle, and I figured, what? I think the guy's a chuckle fuck, but I still want to go listen to it. I think it's going to be interesting. I get there, there's this hordes of Antifa there, and they chuck a singular rock at me. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. Like, it's not even rock. It's like a broken off piece of asphalt that they chuck at me. I was like, okay, this isn't worth it. Fuck it, I'm out of here. I'm going home before I get, beaten up or arrested.
It's kind of funny, honestly.
No, I said funny. I had a friend in America who went to the MSU thing and actually managed to get inside the area where Richard ended up speaking finally. I mean, that's what I mean about the Antifa in the United States. Like, it's insane. It's crazy. And they've gone completely off the rails because of Trump as well. Completely off the rails. I mean, there's something about this guy that gets under the left's skin. Like, they hate him more than they hate anything else. And like when they say, it's not. I mean, it's not like when Republicans called like Obama Hitler. Like, a lot of them didn't really believe that; they were just saying it. But when leftists say that Trump is literally Hitler, I think some of them actually believe it.
Yeah, like, I mean,
they actually do.
The Tea Partiers just spread some boomer memes on Facebook and held some boomerish signs at some protests in like 2010. That's the extent of what they did. Antifa is actually burning shit down. And it's funny because like I actually heard they like bust people in whenever there's one of these events. Like they bust them in for Chicago, all these major cities. Like, oh, hey, you're a professional protester now. Go do this shit because you don't have another job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's probably the biggest... Well, yeah, the biggest sort of thing I saw from Antifa was the inauguration thing, but also the riots that they had at Berkeley when was it Berkeley when Milo Yiannopoulos came to speak last 2016, was it?
Early 2017, like right after the election.
Yeah, that was crazy.
The first of 4 battles of Berkeley that happened throughout 2017.
4 battles of Berkeley, Jesus Christ, the absolute state of that university.
It's not so bad. It's just that. It just sucks so much.
Yeah.
And then Charlottesville, in which half the people there were feds on the right wing side.
Yeah, but I mean, Charlottesville was a mess because the local municipal government, or whatever you want to call them, the local government, essentially, well, pushed the alt-right guys into an area in which the only way to get out would be to go into the streets where Antifa were, who were going to attack them.
Do you know? Actually, I saw some confirmation on this, but I can't find it now. But apparently, the guy who organized it was a former Obama staffer. Like for the Obama campaign, so
I'm not that surprised. No, but I mean, the hilarious thing about Charlottesville is that all the so-called alt-right types had left before any of the violence had begun. Like Richard Spencer had gone, David Duke had legged it, Mike Enoch had gone, Cantwell had even gone, for crying out loud. Like most of them had left before the whole Dodge Challenger thing happened.
And once the woman died of a heart attack, they won't tell you that. But yeah, it's like, oh, hey, somebody got ran over in a fucking riot, but it's still an act of terrorism.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a fucking riot. It's like,
yeah. Well, I don't understand why the guys didn't just move out of the way in the first place. They could see this car was coming from quite far away. Like you'd have quite a lot of time to get out of the way.
Because literally, they backed up and then it screeched out. Like you had plenty of time to.
Yeah, I mean the hilarious thing about this, about Charlottesville is just, and also, the most hilarious thing is about the way that Donald Trump approached it. He was like, "Yeah, actually, this, was bad on both sides," and it's like, "Well, okay, yeah, that's a reasonable position to take." And the media were like, "Oh my God, are you saying these wonderful left-wing, peace-loving, activists were as bad as the Nazis?"
Yeah. He said there were very fine people on both sides. Like, oh, hey, I'm sure there's some, standard people who don't want these statues to come down. I'm sure there's standard people who want these statues to stay up. I'm sure, they're going to be civil about it. But then we had these assholes, and they said, oh, he said Nazis were very fine people.
Oh, no, he said, no, it wasn't the other way around. He said that there was very bad people on many sides. And then the media was like, oh my God, he's condemning the left as well as the evil right. Grr, what a bigot. And it's, I mean, I don't know how anyone in the United States can think that their media has somehow got a right-wing bias.
Even people on the quote unquote based left still compare the thing like, oh, Trump.
Is there a based left?
Yeah, the ones who tried to say, oh, we're basically establishing Democrats from 10 years ago. We just don't like that feminists touch my video.
Oh,
hey, someone just came in.
Did they? Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, hello, how you doing?
The glorious reactionary or revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Oh, we got another Brit in here. Gang. Hello. My friend.
Hi, how you all doing?
That is big global homo.
I've just been shitting on these Americans for being traitors.
The British Empire was the original global homo.
Oh yeah, and what have you got, America? Nothing.
We have guns. We have steak. Okay.
No, see the correct response. The correct response would be a European satellite state after 1945.
Oh, fair enough.
Europe is pretty much an American satellite state at this point.
But then by proxy, we're a satellite state of a little strip in the desert of 8 million people.
God damn it, Constantine.
I got to bring it back around. It's
like, how many layers of alt-right autism are you on today? Well, like 5 or 6 maybe, and then Constantine's like, "Hi, you are like a little baby. Watch this."
Basically, I mean, I can talk about Saudi influence. They have plenty too. It's just I don't know. The Jews are more fun to talk about.
Anyway,
the funny thing about the United States is
all of it.
The first 10 amendments are probably easily the most treasured of the Bill of Rights, the American Constitution, are the most treasured within the United States, I'd say. Oh, would you agree?
Yes.
Right. What's interesting about that is it actually derives from an English. It's inspired by an English one called the Bill of Rights,
Correct.
1689, after the Glorious Revolution. Well, the right to bear arms was in that and everything. Now, the difference, I guess what makes the American one slightly better is the Bill of Rights was about Protestants having those rights, whilst I guess you could say the American one was obviously everybody within the United States. But no, so just remember that, it came from us.
So you're telling me the people of English descent who followed English laws based their system off the English?
Well, imagine my shock.
This is some woke stuff.
This is some
John
utterly
Locke
woke stuff.
actually helped to write the Bill of Rights, 1689. And John Locke was a massive inspiration for many of the founding fathers of the United States, like Thomas Jefferson. Even Thomas Paine was a fan of John Locke. But yeah.
John Loki, you mean?
I hate Annie Worski.
To be honest, Thomas Hobbes is better.
Why you got Sargon as your profile picture?
Because he's a LARPer, that's why.
He is. Yeah,
I did it. Resident,
to trigger the lips.
Because of the fact that I just did a drawing of Sargon. I wanted to do it.
He did it to trigger the libs. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie for King Radio. I know that's you.
I
Yes,
think
it is.
this is the real
Indeed.
Sargon. Like.
It has to be. It has to be the real Sargon. You know, all praise to him, Sargon of Swindon. I bow in your presence, sir. Please enlighten me.
You act like white niggers.
Hilarious thing is that there was like this rumor going around that he'd almost got kicked out of UKIP for saying the N-word. It was completely false, so it never happened. They were emails that were completely made up. But I would have laughed if it actually happened. Like, Sargon is a bit of a shitload on the internet, and therefore he's not allowed in, UKIP. Sargon would be too extreme for UKIP. Oh, that would be hilarious.
He should join the British National Party.
Yeah, okay. I'll just go. Put myself in that empty coffin. Oh, yeah. No, British National Party's been dead since 2010, my friend, and it's just full of like crypto Nazis anyway.
Are they even still a party? Didn't they lose?
Yeah, they still they still exist. They still exist, but like they've got no members, literally none, and they've got no more council seats. So yeah, I look on their website. I've just looked on the website now. It's like BNP,
Well, we call them Wignats here.
putting local people first. Yeah, woo.
Yeah. We call
Wignats.
Wigger nationalists.
And the first thing I see is like Enoch Powell. It's like, yes. Fucking
Rivers of Blood.
yeah.
Really, I think that the UK needs its own Trump to
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree, but the problem is you don't really understand UK politics if you think like that. Trump is very bombastic and very sort of out there, and I mean, he's not the most well-spoken individual in the world. He's like, okay, guys, like, I'm like the best like trade dealer ever. Like, if you even believe me, guys, but like, I'm gonna win big league for like the American people. I love you guys, believe me. And they all just thunderous applause.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone, I really appreciate that response. I am a big fan of this state. In the UK, that couldn't work because in the UK, our politics is very tame. It's very sort of civil. It's like, oh well, the right honourable gentleman makes a good point, but I would inquire on this certain bit of his policy agenda. I mean, back me up, Glorious Revolution. Our politics is incredibly tame compared to the United States.
Your parliament, what I've seen of it, is kind of insane.
Not really.
Yeah,
We need the Japanese parliament where they just beat the shit out of each other in parliament forum.
Isn't that an Eastern European like parliament? Don't they beat the shit out of each other in that one? Kosovo,
yeah.
They beat the shit out of each other.
It happened in Japan, all doing martial arts. They were fighting each other because there was just some big debate on it. And it's like, yeah, it happened in Japan.
Jesus Christ, one thing about happening in Japan, it's like quite I thought Japan was quite like sort of reserved elderly men in government, like thinking about things.
Until you push them too far. That's what it is.
And they get the katanas out and scream Banzai, and then, there's blood everywhere.
Remember, I personally think the UK, if it ever wanted to survive, you'd have to get like some secret dark horse candidate who wasn't part of the Conservative Party but joined anyway.
You sound like Ben Shapiro.
Like, I think they need to change the rules in the UK politics where you can have a popular vote in a primary for the party leader.
Well, I mean, the only way to do that would be via electoral reform, because under the current system we have called first past the post, it splits into constituencies, namely 650 constituencies, and essentially whatever. If you voted for the biggest, the person with the biggest vote wins always, and the rest of the votes are just discounted. They don't matter. So you end up having what's called safe seats, where areas in the north, for example, will always vote Labour, part of the old industrial, heartlands, and then you'll always have sort of southern middle class rich areas. And in the city, and in some sort of rich city areas, always voting for the Conservatives.
Yeah.
And then in like Northern Ireland, like in Protestant parts, you'll get the DUP candidates, and in Catholic parts, you'll get Sinn Féin. Like it's just and the only time that things ever change is when like some seats turn around, like Stoke-on-Trent, for example, or Copeland, or some other seats which are up for play. Kensington, yes, some other seats which are up for play, but there's not many of them. There's only like 50, 60 of them, but it's enough to get to the
United States. It's all about the seats in the states that are up for play. Like,
Yeah,
it's always the swing states, like Florida,
Ohio is the biggest one.
Ohio, Wisconsin.
Every presidential election since 1964, Ohio has decided.
Exactly. I think that's. We have a sort of similar problem in the UK, but it's with constituencies. But yes, we do need a radical reform to the electoral system if we are ever to see any real change. Because to be honest with you, the main two parties at the moment are not going to bring about any change that one would consider, useful. I mean, the Conservative Party are, first of all, adopting the mantra of the left, every single day, and even when they're not, they're just hastening decline a little bit slower. And when the Labour Party gets in, they just enact policies which would, not accelerate the crime per se, but speed it up a little bit at least. Because even then, the Labour Party is quite, even then, the Labour Party is quite moderate compared to the Labour Party is quite moderate compared to other left-wing parties. In Europe and in Europe, because in Europe they're full on socialist and communist. One in the UK is like moderate.
Yeah, the Democratic Party is
actually why Europe politics is so more radical compared to American politics.
French politics, specifically, French politics is more radical because they teach philosophy in schools from the age of like 6 or 7. So that means there will be a higher degree of intellectual openness towards more radical right-wing and left-wing ideas. That's why in France, things like far right and far left aren't really dirty terms. They just describe political persuasions. So the National Front, you could consider far right, really, to a certain degree. They were pretty openly okay with that label. And the Communist Party were completely okay with being called far left. And you have people, and you had Communist Party rallies where they all had their fist in the air singing the Internationale. It's a far more radical environment, France is, and that's why many of the revolutions in the 60s happened in France, and why many of some of the most influential philosophers and intellectuals have come from France, because philosophy is an ingrained part of their education system. While in the United Kingdom and in the United States, to a certain degree, you'd be pushed, if you ask someone what philosophy is, they'd be pushed to tell you what it actually is. They wouldn't know. So yeah, that's why France is certainly more radical. I'm not sure about Belgium and.
I figured out the most a Republican can win if you get all the states which were the same since 2000, and the Republican or Democrat wins all the swing states. Let's do this.
All right. You guys, you got 2020, the map's gonna change because the census.
So
what's happening?
Here, do screen share.
All right, so here it is. So if the Democrat won all those states, it would be about. Let me post it. Actually, I should do screen share. Yeah.
Yeah, the screen share.
Oh, great! Wrong screen.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Braving Ruin thing.
All right, here we go. So you see it?
Yeah.
So that's the presidential election in 2016. Now, the same since 2000, you have 195 votes for the Democrats, 179 for the Republicans. So you fill in all blue for the swing states. Let's see. You get... It's going to take a moment. Here we go. Why did I... Keep filling Vermont yellow.
Oh, Bernie Sanders won it, okay?
Yeah, I know. But you get 359 votes for the Democrats. Now, if you look at the same since 2000, let's say a Republican wins all those, and it's kind of likely that Republican, not likely, but it's possible that a Republican wins all of those. You get about 343. So it's fairly evenly split. The swing states determine everything.
Well, you actually look at current trends. The Midwest is trending red, while the Southwest is trending blue. So,
Yeah, but I think the Midwest is more important
yeah,
Like-
definitely.
because they have more electoral votes.
Like,
Arizona and Utah have 17.
well,
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in total. Let's see, 56.
Arizona is shifting blue though, and then Colorado and Nevada are slightly blue. But yeah, it's definitely a good trade-off. But
Yeah,
The population-
Arizona. It looks like the Democrats going to win the Senate in there due to the fact that they rallied behind someone very quickly, and they have, unless the Republicans rally behind their candidate, they're probably going to lose.
well, I still think it's going to be a red wave. I actually am in a bit of an unpopular opinion on that.
No, I believe that as well. Here's my map right here. So we have actually, I can leave that as a toss-up. And this is what I think is going to happen right here. So you see this map? For some reason, the Democrats have Democratic seats in Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, and West Virginia.
Well, because the state level Democratic parties, Missouri can be explained by demographics. St. Louis,
Like blacks, yeah.
yeah, but like states like Montana, the Democratic Party, the state level is still pretty like a conservative Democrat, like what you'd get like the Reagan era Democrats.
So like a Joe Manchin type, not for gun
Yeah.
control, willing to vote for a wall, but Joe Manchin actually did vote to build the wall and cut immigration by 50%.
I mean, you look at the Secure Fence Act of 2006. Both Obama and Hillary voted for it.
Yeah, Illinois. The problem with Illinois is that it's
Chicago.
all red except for Chicago. But so yeah, we have 54 seats for the Republicans, 42 for the Democrats, and about 4 up for grabs. And here's the thing: these are based on polls. I think it's Arizona is going to go red. North Dakota, Indiana, and Florida, the Republicans leading, and Missouri. Josh Hawley was leading at one point, and if Austin Peterson gets elected, he would destroy McCaskill.
I'm feeling pretty confident about Renacci, in terms of Ohio.
Renacci has weak fundraising. That's the only issue.
Yeah, that's the issue. But I mean, I actually voted for Gibbons. I actually worked on Gibbons' campaign, so I suppose I get some bragging rights if Renacci loses.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be voting for the I'm not voting. I'm too young. 2 years I will. And I'm going to be voting, working with the Lou Barletta campaign in Pennsylvania. I think he's probably going to lose, but if he loses, it's not going to be by much.
Yeah, but surely that there would be at least a blue increase because there's a Republican president and there's a Republican House and there is a Republican Senate. Something has to switch to the Democrats.
The map is the Senate map by sheer numbers is favored for the Republicans. They'll probably make gains in the House, but not take a majority in the House. But the Democrats are also an extremely weak party right now. They have no unity. Tom Perez is completely different than all these. The Democrats are basically complete chuckle fucks right now. So I say they take back a majority in 2022. That's my official prediction. You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
So my guest has arrived.
So Republicans do have unity then?
Yes.
Well, mostly. There's I'd say 5 to 10 Republicans who are cucks and won't do anything. Maybe even 15, but the majority of Republicans voted for Trump's immigration proposals.
Right.
In fact, 3 Democrats voted for it in the Senate, but none
Really?
in the
3
House.
Dems? Oh.
And all 3 of those Democrats are up for re-election.
Who's the goose?
My guest, a Canadian. So we made our quotas finally.
Bunch of Anglos.
A bunch of
Canadian.
Chinese, actually.
A bunch of Americans.
Cucked, are you a Chinese man from Vancouver?
He's not answering us. That means yes.
But in the House, I actually calculated it. You see, in special elections, like if Roy Moore, for example, the Democrats had 30-point shifts in their favor.
Is that the one the Dems won?
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama, yeah.
Well, to be fair, Roy Moore was a pretty was a pretty horrible candidate. Whether you
Yeah, he
believe,
was.
at least in the eyes of the public, whether you believe he actually did the shit he did, I don't, but the Republic did, and half of his base didn't show up. At one point,
Yeah.
he was leading by double digits, but so the scandal came out and he lost.
Can
but
you stop
they-
screen sharing?
Yeah, but they treated like that, like a sort of beginning of a blue wave, and they're sort of. I mean, in the UK especially, we've had all this news about this socialist Democrat candidate who won in
New
in somewhere in New York. Yeah, somewhere in New York, and
She's
that's
probably
just-
more left wing than the Conservative Party.
Oh, the Puerto Rican who claimed that she came from poverty despite
Like,
living
the
in a
Conservative
$900,000 home.
Conservative Party ever talk about having a guaranteed job for everybody? Did they ever
No.
say that?
I mean, go on.
Well, let's see. She wants a guaranteed job, guaranteed college tuition, regardless of whether you are a fucking terrible student or not. She wants Medicare for all, and I'm fine with universal health care. It just has to be privately owned and privately managed. And you have to abolish Medicare and Medicaid to do it, like to cut cost. But she wants to add like $2 trillion in spending. She doesn't want any
She's a
borders.
socialist. I mean, this is not news.
So, is she more left wing than the Conservative Party?
What do you mean? In the United Kingdom?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, because the Conservative Party doesn't believe in a guaranteed job for everyone. You know, that's not under, you know,
Bernie
doesn't,
at one point
doesn't virtue signal to the degree that she does.
Bernie at one point, he was part of a communist group, and
What's
he also said that people lining up for food in communist countries was good because in the capitalist countries, you have the rich eating and the poor starve.
The poor.
The poor. Socialism.
The 1% of the 1%.
billions. Well,
Millionaires and billionaires.
No, because it was Trump who was like billions and billions, and then Sanders was like the zillionaires and the millionaires, Wall Street, Hillary Clinton. Oh, I mean, I would have respected Sanders so much if he hadn't cucked to the Clinton machine. Like if he wasn't just like if he didn't sell out to Clinton when he lost.
The Green Party offered them their nomination, and so he could have
Why didn't
taken
he
that.
take it?
Because you know what happens when you cross the Clintons? You end up committing suicide with 2 gunshots to the back of the head.
I suppose so.
Funny
I-
enough, his brother's a member of the Green Party in the UK, and he
Yeah, but
actually
Bernie
stood in Cameron's seat.
Yeah, he actually is. Yeah.
He is a sellout. A lot of his fans voted and then voting Trump and will never vote for him again because he sold out to Hillary Clinton. But let me think. So in the House, I predict it's going to be 230 to 235 for the Republicans, and Democrats might gain 5 to 10 seats.
You can stop screen sharing now, by the way.
Oh wait, I actually have a House prediction. I did all of this, all 435 at one. I did it somewhere.
Now that's what I call autism.
That is true, but
I didn't want to say that out loud, but go on. Oh, that was true. That's sort of.
you
what I
can
was
just go ahead and talk while I finish this.
No, because when I was considering the Republican, well, the primary that Socialist Democrat candidate won, I was thinking like, what about the actual Democrat candidate who lost? What was he like?
He was
a
basically
corporate Democrat. He was kind of like Nancy Pelosi. He was next in line for the Speaker of the House.
he was the Democratic establishment candidate.
Is he like a Clinton Democrat then, basically?
Basically.
Yeah. What was it? When was Clinton a neocon? I'm not sure. Was she a neocon in Democrat clothing? So a lot.
Yeah,
That's
she
what
was.
I mean, that's what all Democrats are.
Yeah, just didn't neoconservatism
Most-
come out of the
yeah,
Dems
yeah.
anyway?
You have Tulsi Gabbard. She's like an anti-war Democrat.
So
What about the Blue Dogs? Are they still a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, like Manchin, but like they barely exist anymore.
Hey,
Yeah.
almost here.
Manchin, the thing about Manchin is that he doesn't like gun control. He actually voted to build the wall, cut immigration by 50%.
This guy who won the Pennsylvania special election a few months back, I can't remember his name, but basically he ran on an anti-Pelosi platform. So the Blue Dogs are like, basically the anti-establishment of the Democratic Party.
Because they were quite popular in the 90s, but it seems like they're pretty much non-existent these days.
Well, most of them became Republicans.
That is true.
I just want Joe Manchin to party switch if he wins, so he doesn't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, but don't you want people to stay in the party and try and reform it from within?
No,
fuck the Democrats.
No, so Democrats can't win ever again.
Will they ever hold presidential office ever again?
I mean, that depends on the demographic shift, but at least
Oh,
Here we
right.
go. I got my prediction right here.
All right, we're screwed. Right.
Here's my prediction. See this line right here? 229, 205 for the Republicans. See it? Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
All the smaller districts, which are heavily populated, there are more Democratic leaning or swing states.
Because
Like,
the
all these
urban
big
areas.
districts are just like, I don't know why I'm so friggin' heavy and nasal at the moment. But all of these districts are either the blue districts tend to be very heavily populated. Like, fuck the coast of California. Orange County is where it's at. I'm surprised that like literally half of California is red in Congress.
Well, not really, because you have a lot of people spread out over a certain area, and the congressional districts have to stay at least roughly equal in population.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So
Yeah,
12.
but Californian Republicans are not like Texas Republicans. They're not the same. Because different. If you're a Democrat in a really sort of southern state, you're not going to be the same Democrat as you're not going to be the same as a Democrat in California. Same as the thing. If you're a Republican in California, you're not going to be the same as a Republican in like Alabama, for example. It's just how they are. And then you'll end up with Californian Republicans working more with Democrats than you will with average normal Republicans, and then you'll get like sort of rarely sort of what you would call blue dog Democrats working more with Republicans. Because they're in more sort of southern states.
Apparently, Arkansas has no Democrats in its house.
Granted, the best member of Congress is Congressman Body Slam from Montana.
No, it's Bob Goodlatte.
No, it is Body Slam the journalists.
Is Rand Paul up for election this? Is Rand Paul up for election this time around?
No,
Oh.
he was in 2016.
I'll get Zach here to go over.
Here we go. Here's what he is. He is a congressman who. Let me check the immigration bill he put out. It lost. The bill actually got far more votes than expected. It was about 193 votes yes. Let's see. So he introduced a bill which would end the diversity visa lottery, end chain migration, end that. Build the wall, cut immigration by about 20 to 40%, and 193 Republicans voted for it. So I'd say about 4/5 of the party aren't cucks, while 1/5 to 1/3 are.
Or then Paul Ryan, the homosexual, says, "Then we're going to give amnesty to a few million people."
I hate that guy. Look at Vermont; it's all blue.
Well, they only have one district, so
Yeah.
Literally, in New York, you have all these tiny little districts. How is this district right here red, and this district right here?
I don't know.
Because that's where all the white people live.
Or
It's
fellow white people.
Really, the homosexual Paul Ryan, the homosexual.
See, from abroad, I didn't think Paul Ryan was too bad. Like at the beginning, I didn't think it was that. I thought he was just like a basic bitch, like constitutional conservative. Like he didn't seem that,
Paul Ryan was more on the libertarian camp of the Republican Party, and he was very much for a while there against the status quo,
Yeah, he was in with the
which
sort of
made him more likable than the other politicians.
Yeah,
But then he like fell in with Romney and became like just
McCain, neocon. I'd politics teacher. My politics teacher actually taught me U.S. politics. Fucking hell, your government's complicated. Fucking hell. He really liked McCain for some reason. He was like, oh, because he's a war hero, and I was just like, I like my war heroes who don't get captured.
So
I
wait,
don't ignore the part
John
where
McCain. John McCain's a war
betrayed his
hero.
fellow soldiers.
more like a war
And,
criminal.
Look at this. The Republicans, for some
He
reason,
can be both.
governorships and governorships, and get this: Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut.
Well, again, it goes back to the Republicans there aren't going to be like the Republicans in Texas, because Phil Scott in Vermont, who's just complete like he's basically a Democrat against gun control. And that's the only reason he got elected.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, that's what I mean. It's pointless talking about like, oh yeah, we can get some Republicans in like some of these Democrat states. Like it doesn't matter because they'll just be Democrats.
Like the Massachusetts governor, I can't remember who he is, but he did something about like, we're gonna be like kind to refugees. We're gonna be like a sanctuary, something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean I mean, I'm not too sure about the Senate. Like, is that gonna? Which way is that? Do Republicans control Senate completely?
They have like a 51-49 split, and I think they're gonna gain some seats.
Gain?
Yeah, and they're leading in the polls in Indiana, Florida, and
Missouri?
Well,
North Dakota.
just by virtue of the math.
None of those are shockers, though.
Rick Scott is actually pretty well known. He's running, and he's probably going to win. He's leading by like 4 or 5 points in the polls. Kramer, the only representative in North Dakota, is leading against the senator, Heidi Heitkamp. And this businessman, Mike Braun, who has like $100 million to spend on his campaign, he's leading against Joe Donnelly. Let me check the latest polls, actually. This should be pretty fun. So I'm looking at it right here. Scott is leading by about 2 points on average. Plus, and here we go. So +3, +4, +5. Let's see what else. I'm checking Indiana, top Senate races, Indiana. Braun is leading by 1 point, according to Gravis. And in North Dakota, Kramer is leading by 4 points, according to Mason-Dixon.
Jesus Christ, just went in a public place. Bloody hell. Hello?
Yeah?
No, someone sounds like they're in a public place, for crying out loud.
Oh, you're talking in a public place?
That is definitely me.
Oh,
Yeah.
great job. Invite the Canadian on.
Now,
Yeah.
you look at the approval rating of the Donald, it's starting to stabilize a bit. It's at 43.0 at the moment. And his disapproval rating is at a very low point. At the lowest point since, let's see, 52.2. The lowest point.
Approval ratings are crazy. Like they're above half the population.
It's about his disapproval rating is about 52. Is the highest it's been since May of last year. Or not highest, lowest. Sorry, lowest disapproval rating.
Is that because of North Korea? Is that because if they ran North Korea in the tax cuts then?
Yeah,
And obviously the immigration thing.
Yeah, but I think it's probably 5 points higher, maybe 5 to 7. And Florida's approval rating is about 52%, and he only won Florida by 1 point, 49%. So it's probably somewhere in the late 40s, early 50s.
Basically, I've heard that the figure for the Republicans to do well in the midterms, Trump has to be around 45% approval.
Yeah, let's hope we get there. What we got to do is we got to start moving. We got to start going onto polls and shit. If we hear a poll is going on, we got to hijack it and start voting going red. So, like we say, who are you voting for? And you're talking with a resident reactionary talks in a British accent saying, I'm voting for X, straight Republican ticket. Are you an American citizen? No.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it was a rhetorical question.
What was I say? I thought you would genuinely ask me if I was an American citizen. I was like, no, for crying out loud.
No, I'm talking about the interviewer who would ask you on the phone, are you an American citizen? You don't sound like it. I really think 4chan to start hijacking polls, which are mostly rigged. Anyway.
I mean, the polls told us we were going to have President Hillary Clinton, so I don't put much stock
Madam
in
President, yeah, with that fucking front cover on was it Times, was it?
Yes.
Madam
That-
President, Jesus.
that was AIDS.
Oh, dearie me. God, the heydays of 2016. Jesus.
And back when the right was unified. We didn't have shit like Charlottesville. Now, if you look at the max distance, at most, if you look at the Trump versus Clinton versus Johnson versus Stein, at her height, Clinton was leading by about 7.6 points.
Why I'm not 50 points ahead, you may ask.
Why am I not 50 points ahead? Maybe it's something to do with you, Hillary. Have I considered that? Oh, no. It's all the Russians.
Oh, she was leading by 5 points back in the same point this year. By about 5 points. Now, if you look at Trump versus Clinton general election, this is how it went. So at first she led by 19.6 points. Then quickly she starts to shrink. Until September 2015, she leads by 0.8 points. And then Trump starts to be relatively stable as Hillary is fluctuating back and forth. Then Trump is losing again by about 11.2 points. Then they meet up again. Trump's leading by 0.2. Then they fall down again. And Trump's leading by 1.1. Then he falls down again. Then he goes up again. Then he falls down again. Then he goes up again. And right before the election, he starts to fall down dramatically. So that's how it went. Let's check out how it polled in Minnesota. So Minnesota, in 2016 election, Minnesota poll.
Someone's been on 4chan recently.
I'm checking the poll right here. The poll went.
I think I need to cut this stream short. I gotta go.
That's fair enough, dude.
But
You're
the latest poll,
circumcising the stream?
the final poll showed Clinton leading by 11 points. She won by 1.5.
Okay, I think that's I think I end it this year. I hope everybody enjoy themselves on this stream.
Yeah,
Are you going on unpopular opinions?
No,
No.
I'm just tired. Peace out.